Okay, so you know what Kegels are now. Contraction of the pelvic floor, adding tension to the pelvic floor. In the last video, we talked about hypertonicity versus hypotonicity, okay? So basically, lots of tension, lack of tension. And what we are finding that most of us, or a lot of us, are falling more into that hypertonicity factor. What's happening when we have higher tension already in our pelvic floor means that if we add on more tension from a Kegel, because remember, that's what a Kegel is, it's a contraction of those muscles, and anytime you contract a muscle, i.e. bicep curl, you are adding tension to then be able to gain strength down the road. But remember, a muscle needs to be able to lengthen and release fully before it's able to contract and gain strength down the road. Because if you have a muscle that's just constantly holding tension, even at that low grade, so even at a low grade, it's going to get fatigued easily and it's not going to be able to do its jobs. Hence why adding Kegels onto hypertonicity can actually make your symptoms worse. So what do we have to do? We've got to lengthen and release that pelvic floor muscles. How do we do that? What we do is that we focus on, first, our mind-body connection. We have to get back connected with our pelvic floor. Maybe you've never had to get connected with your pelvic floor, but now is the time. Mental awareness is huge, and it's going to give you your power back over your life, over your fitness, over anything that you want to do in your life. So mind-body connection, physical connection. So we need to get your breathing in check. We need to get your breathing aligned with your diaphragm, which is your breathing muscle, which is right here underneath your rib cage. We need that physically connecting with your pelvic floor. And that is going to actually help the lengthening and the releasing. Breathing techniques is also how you manage your pressure. We will talk about inter-abdominal pressure in another video. But just remember that breathing is also good for pressure management. So, mental, mind-body connection with the pelvic floor, physical, getting your breathing in check. The breathing is going to help us release and lengthen that pelvic floor. So how do we do this? We rediscover how our body is actually functioning. We get rid of tension that is restricting us from being able to get that good breathing pattern in. We change our breathing pattern so we can remove tension from the rest of our body. Because if you haven't read any of my material yet, I am a whole body approach. That means tension that you're holding in your pelvic floor affects the rest of your body. The tension you're holding in the rest of your body affects how much tension you're holding in your pelvic floor. So we need to do a full head to toe, toe to head check of where you are holding tension and how that tension is affecting your pelvic floor function. Okay? So, for example, try your jaw. If you are clenching your jaw, chances are that tension is going right into your pelvic floor. If you know how to do a Kegel or you have an idea of how to do a Kegel, go ahead and try it. I guarantee you're going to feel tension all throughout your jaw. They are connected. This is one place that I find holding tension the most, or at least consciously holding tension. This is when I'm driving. A lot of the times I find myself clenching my jaw. I have to actively get myself to release that jaw because I don't want to add tension into the pelvic floor when I don't need it. I don't need tension in my pelvic floor when I'm driving. I don't need it to stop me from urinating if I'm just seated. I need it to stop me if I was jumping or running or walking. Okay? So I just need my pelvic floor to relax during those times. That means I need my jaw to relax. Other places holding tension If you hold tension in your neck, your upper back here, if you've got a forward rounded posture too, then you've got lots of tension in your chest muscles. Inner thighs are a huge window into the pelvic floor. So if you're holding tension that pelvic or in those inner thighs, then it's probably directly going into your pelvic floor. If you're clenching your glute muscles, your glutes need to have functionality in order for the pelvic floor to be able to work as well. So if you are constantly clenching those glutes or tucking those glutes, then you are effectively crowding your pelvic floor and causing more tension in the pelvic floor. Even simple areas like your feet, if you hold tension in your feet, your calves, your shins, all of that is going to travel right up into that pelvic floor. So, full body release. And this can be done through manual release. This can be done through breathing techniques. But what you're going to do with me and what you will do with a pelvic floor physical specialist will be to look at where you're holding tension. What's the most amazing thing about a pelvic floor physical therapist is that they can actually get in, if they need to, and do internal release into those pelvic floor muscles. Because sometimes that tension, we're holding it really, really deep in there, and we can't get it out with just surface manual release. So they get in there, they get that deep release, and then you're also at the same time, you're working on releasing tension in the rest of the body. So we can get everything working and functioning like it should. Okay? This is why I love working with your pelvic floor PT, because we can work in conjunction to get you in the best physical shape, best functionality, get that pelvic floor working like it should, give you your life back. We can do that together. When I work with you in my phase 1, the month 1, we go head to toe, seeing where you're holding tension. And then we make a plan for long-term tension management. Because when you start to add on strengthening again, remember, bicep curl, tension. I'm adding tension into this muscle. So as you start to add strength training, you will be adding on more and more tension. You need to have a plan in check to be able to manage that tension, or it's going to get out of control like it did in the beginning. And it's going to get you right back into that pelvic floor dysfunctional state. So, tension release. It's called ceasing tension. It is the C in my ABC. So you master your ABCs in the first phase that you work with me, and that is our rediscovery phase. And it is so vital for building a foundation that is going to help you to be able to manage your tension, manage your symptoms, build strength, and do fitness the way you want down the road.